welcome to the Blunderbuss Special. This is a special segment that Bob and I like to call Rob's Garage. And with us tonight, well, Bob's unfortunately at work right now, so he'll show up later.
I'm here.
Yeah, Rob's here, so that's Rob. I'm Nate. I'm fucking up this intro. I know I am, but here we go. Today we're going to talk about projects and stuff. Shit to work on.
Sorry, that was my ashtray and my beer. I'm trying to get situated so I don't make noise, and by doing that, I made a bunch of fucking noise. That's my fault.
Well, it's just what you do, Rob.
Yeah, no, that's my fault.
You always got to, like, fuck shit up.
That's right.
Yeah, no, everything's your fault. It's always your fault.
I know it is. It's part of being grown up. Accept the fact that it's your fault and move on.
Well, the biggest project you got going on right now is building your house.
Yeah, you want to talk about projects. I'm a doer. I like doing shit.
Oh, you do things, all right.
Yeah, no, I do.
You do a lot of things you shouldn't be doing.
No, that's absolutely true. And I think most recently, the things that I've been working on recently are I've been building a house for the past about 2.5, 3 years, pretty solid. And by building, I mean I built it, and you know you've been there, and
yeah, man, he's been building it like by hand himself.
Yeah. And it was a totally ludicrous project to undergo to start. But when you're ignorant, ignorance is bliss, man. So you just keep, you keep knocking away at it. But the wife and I, we just decided that, we had the same options that everybody else had. It was, get a $100,000 loan and get us a shitty house and, in the fucking Barrio San Antonio, you know what I mean? And, what is $100,000 buy you?
Fuck ain't shit these days.
Yeah, and
a brick shit house. That's about it.
Well, at the time, they weren't giving loans, man.
Yeah.
Things are a little bit different these days.
Well, the bubble busted and
yeah,
everything's gone to shit.
And the thing that was tough about the whole situation was that we had this acreage, and we decided, look, we can go and get the loan. We can do it if we wanted to. And really try when we were in the same situation that a lot of people are in, where we're paying rent month to month, we're living a paycheck to paycheck, the whole 9 yards. And I can go through the whole like Dave Ramsey horse shit, where it's like you build a budget and then you stick to your budget, and
you suck cocks on the side and make enough money.
Yeah, exactly. You work fucking 14 hours overtime and 30 hours overtime. And it's just the amount of time and effort that I would have put in working, and same shit. I had 2 jobs, just like everybody else out there. And what we decided was, hey, you know what? I'm going to quit one of these jobs. I'm going to take this acreage we have. I'm going to do everything I can myself. And there were things that I didn't do myself. I didn't do my foundation. I had guys do my foundation. But, beyond my foundation...
Well, some things you just don't want to fuck with.
Yes. Beyond my foundation, I've done 90% of that house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
and,
it's a huge undertaking.
Sure.
It's impressive.
It has fucking killed me. I'm going to die a broken man. But... I'll die in a bed in my own fucking house. You know what I mean?
That you built with your own 2, Vienna sausage fingers and shit.
But it's been a huge learning experience. And
it's the house made out of ham and eggs.
That's right. It's more like blanquillos and chorizo. But before this house, I had built decks, fences. I had done some remodels in my 20s, my early 20s. I worked for a company that did a lot of work like that, and but nowhere near what it would have taken to build this house. I had enough knowledge to be dangerous. So I took
Interesting way of putting it.
I took that knowledge and fucking got dangerous on my own shit. So, But it's been hugely rewarding. It has been the single most challenging and rewarding thing I've ever done before I mean, besides having kids and getting married and all that kind of stuff. But before that, like I said, work construction and all that kind of stuff. Have always been a car guy, since I was a teenager, and worked on my own things. Went to trade school in my late teens, early 20s, and got to the point where I was good in my hands, good with my hands, worked in machine shops.
Confident enough, really. I mean,
yeah.
Think about it.
Never was, and I want to make this clear to everyone listening, and I hope this is an inspiration. Excuse me. I have never been great at anything. Never been really, really good at anything.
Never quite made that A.
No, absolutely not. C plus, B minus. You know what I'm saying? At best. But I'm just able to pick things up, be able to learn quickly. Just an all around quick learner that way.
Yeah.
And as far as book learning goes, I do love to read. I do love to
Yeah, we've had a bunch of deep conversations over here.
Sure.
No wee hours in the morning, fucking 3 sheets to the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, fuck, we should hash up, the
Oh, well, look.
the 3 powers of the government. But anyway, I don't want to go back there.
I love to read. I love to, all that different kind of stuff. I like to think that I'm half-ass educated. But as my wife describes it, I'm a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
And I enjoy just learning new stuff, whether it be history or science or math, or whether it be, something tangible. I love algebra. As I've gotten older, I love algebra.
Oh, you fucking weirdo. No, I hate algebra.
Algebra is, truthfully, when you start to really make stuff, whether you're welding, whether you're a carpenter, whether you're a machinist, algebra is critical to almost everything. Because almost everything is checking for length and checking for square and checking for ID and OD, that's inside diameter, outside diameter, that's, whether you're sewing, whether you're doing leather work, you know what I mean? It's all geometry. And knowing geometry, I saw this thing on Facebook.
You said algebra originally.
What did I say now?
You said algebra, but you said geometry now, which is true.
Well, it's algebra and geometry.
Well, more geometry than anything, but algebra.
Algebra.
Fuck algebra. No, but you do use it. I mean, I'm just horrible with numbers. I have the hardest time with it. Of course, being a drafter, that makes no fucking sense.
I have the hardest time with numbers also.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, if you really stick with it and you really, after a while, you're doing it without thinking.
Well, it's more like, especially for me, it's one of those things where it's directly being applied to what I'm doing. Yeah. Like when I was going through my topographical and civil classes and stuff like that, we used a lot of trig. Sure. I was still taking remedial fucking college math.
Right.
And I was taking my college algebra class.
Right.
And I'm doing fucking trig.
Right.
In my other classes and shit. And I tell people this shit in my class, they're like, what? Really? I was like, yeah, man. It's, like, what do you mean you're doing trig? It's like, isn't it hard? It's like, well, it's applying directly to what I'm doing. Sure. So it's not like Johnny has a ball and he throws it and a train comes at the opposite, at fucking such and such miles an hour. That shit, I need physical shit that I'm working with.
Right.
Something that I'm interested in, not just fucking random crap that means nothing. That's just it. It has to mean something.
I would have never thought that I would ever have to use the Pythagorean theorem for anything, or, didn't know what its purpose was for or how it could be used practically until I had to use it to figure out how long of roof rafters I needed to purchase. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can I buy 14 footers? Can I buy 12 footers? Or am I going to need 20 footers?
Yeah, you got to figure out that rise over run, man.
Exactly. You know, and A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and boom, and you know, the crazy thing about it is I'll never forget it.
No, and the thing is like, you know, I've always been better at geometry because it's physical. You know, I'm working directly with things.
Right.
But like in my architecture classes doing rise over run, I wouldn't even think about it. Just like,
sure,
because you're always going on a 12.
Right.
You go 12 out, and then whatever it is up.
Whatever the rise is, right.
There you go.
Sure.
So you're always on that 12.
And see, but that's the thing. After, like I told you, after a while, you're doing it without thinking. You can just knock that shit out, no problem.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm doing, you know, I'm adding fractions in my head, where I'm going, okay, I need 154 and 3/8, and and 72 and 7/8. You know, and that's going to leave me a certain amount of linear feet that I need of this material or that material, you know, or whatever it's going to be, you know, or I have a piece of round stock that I need to turn down, you know, 150 thousandths, you know, so if I find center, I'm going to move 150 thousandths out from center this much.
Yeah.
That means I'm moving 75 thousandths on either side. You know what I mean? That's at that point you're just dealing with simple math, but the more complicated your piece of work is, if you're trying to machine something correctly, or you're trying to, you know, anything at all.
Yeah.
The other thing you have to remember is almost none of that is critically important. Where
it can be, yeah.
If you're building a house, your house can literally be, you know,
whatever you want,
a foot out of square,
yeah.
and that fucker's still gonna stand there. You know what I mean? All you got to do is just.
Hopefully, you're within code.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
You can make almost anything if you just put the time in and compensate, and compensate, and compensate. You know, it's just a round building is just a whole bunch of weird numbers. You know what I mean?
Man.
You know. You just got to figure it out, you know, board by board.
Well, I was talking to some friends earlier this morning. You know, I was talking about the Harley changing out the cams to a gear drive system, and they're like, you know, I was telling them like, you know, people apparently get butthurt about the gear drives because it makes a noise. I was like, fuck that. It's gear noise. That's the shit. Yeah. You know how much goes into a gear? And they're like, no. It takes a lot to fucking go into a gear.
Absolutely.
I've had to fucking make them and draw them, and it's a fuckload of math.
Yeah,
it's a lot of math, and you have to get the teeth, you know, the pressure angle just right, everything else, and I mean it's the shape of the tooth. And the only problem is, in my engineering class that I had to do, I didn't have to do it. It was extra credit, so I was like, "Fuck it, give me extra credit. I'm done with everything. Just give me something to do.
Right.
I want something challenging finally." And fuck, it was challenging.
Right.
And sure enough, you know, it's gears, and it's like, fuck, I haven't done this in 2 years. It's like I'm trying to fucking remember how to do this.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the paperwork he gives me with all the formulas. I'm looking in my engineering book that has all the formulas. I'm looking in another book that I have all the formulas and shit. I'm looking online. And the only problem is, yeah, it's got the formulas, but it leaves important shit out. It'll be like D sub 1, D sub 2, D sub 8.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck is that? I know what D is, but what the fuck is sub 1, sub... Where are you getting... And that's the problem I have with algebra. Because... it's these imaginary numbers and shit, and it's like, okay, where did you get that from?
Sure.
And it never tells you. You have to have someone tell you, oh, this is where this came from, this is how this came about.
Right.
And if someone's walking me through this shit, I'm fine. But having to read it by myself, gobbledygook.
A lot of those books, though, pride themselves on their ambiguity. Like
oh, yeah, it's like, oh, you must, travel many moons to be able to, drink from the wells of my fucking, of my splendors.
There's some of that. College physics.
Oh.
They would pride themselves on having a book that was harder to read, more complicated to get through than, hey, you go to the library and there's 10 books on explaining how to do this thing. Easier, better, just more simplified in that way. You know what I mean?
Well, it doesn't make any sense.
There's a lot of that shit. And then, the other thing, like you were talking about earlier, one gear, what goes into one gear. We talk about it at work all the time. And I'm a industrial mechanic by trade. We talk about it all the time. What goes into one gear? It's 10 engineers and one machinist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot of college guys sitting around a drafting table.
Yeah.
And I know you're a drafting, and I know you're a draftsman. I'm not trying to talk shit.
No, I'm just a monkey, man. They hand it down and I draw it.
Exactly.
I'm not the jerk off that's coming up with this shit.
Exactly. And
but I do tend to weed problems out.
it's 10 engineers standing around going, "You think it's gonna work?" I think it'll work. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna work.
It's like, let's not test this out. Just put it right in the fucking production.
Right.
Yeah, fuck it.
It'll be fine.
Fuck
It'll be fine.
Fuck it.
And the machinist gets the print, takes one look at it, and is like, "This shit ain't gonna work," but makes it anyway. Has to make it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's just it. Yeah. The machine's like, fuck.
Yeah. And
all right. Let me think about this. Okay. This is this and this and this, and not going through books or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just fucking the shit that he's been doing over the years. That experience, and just bam.
Well, and see, that's the thing. That's the thing that I kind of fell in love with as a teenager, starting to kind of come around this stuff for the first time, was meeting the guys that did this full time for a lifetime.
Yeah.
They were dudes where there's no ambiguity to their work, their job. They know that they can do it. They know how to do it and the things that go into what makes it real.
Well, it's also every day to them. They've been doing it for so long. It's just don't even think about it. Pump it out.
Until then, I had known I was a suburban kid.
Yeah.
So the movies that I watched or the things that the what I grew up with was a guy grows up and he gets a job. He goes to school, gets a job doing whatever he's going to do or whatever. And he, walks around the office and he gets coffee in the morning. He's got some meetings or, whatever.
Yeah. The corporate douchebag.
Sure. And I didn't, my dad didn't do that, but I thought my dad was the odd man out. You know what I mean? And so around these guys for the first time, these were capable guys. They could do anything. They could make anything. Welders, mechanics, machinists, electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, you know what I mean? All the different aspects of the trades, every one of them brought something to the table. And when they came together on something, God, it was beautiful the way it it was a symphony of shit coming together. And it's a lot of horse shit. It's a lot of shit talking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of shop talk.
Yeah, a lot of shop talk.
I miss shop talk so much. Holy
and
shit.
it's dude, that's part of it. It's part of why it's great. Is sitting around in the morning and drinking coffee and talking about this guy's an asshole and this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing and
it's like, dude, this fucking dude, you seen the fucking belt that he wears?
right.
But I mean, the thing is like, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, growing up, it's like, college education, get in the corporate world, make all this fucking money and shit.
Sure.
If you work for the city or you work for as a mechanic and shit, it's like that's the low work. It's not, you're not going to make money. It's looked, I don't know why, but I always got that feeling when I was a kid. It was looked down upon. Even when I was in high school, and I love welding. I miss not being able to weld anymore. Even then, I wanted to be that's what I wanted to fucking do. I found what I want to do for the rest of my life. Fortunately, I can't do it anymore. But it was kind of one of those things. It's like, I don't know why, but I had it in my head to where it's like, I meet someone. It's like, oh, what do you do? It's like, I'm a welder,
Yeah.
And, that idea that they were going to look down on me about that. And it's like, fuck, dude. It's like how everything you look around here. Well, the guy in the office didn't do that. The fucking dudes that actually work with their hands did it.
Well, the thing that's crazy about that is that when you start to do that kind of work, when you start to be that kind of guy, you realize that the guys in the office love those guys. They want to be those guys. What's crazy about it is it's like you'll have 10 engineers talking to, or you'll have 2 engineers in the shop talking to the welder going, I got a welder too in my garage, and I made a table for my wife, and it sits in the backyard. It's really nice. I think you'd like it. But welds are great. It's not pretty, but it holds. It holds. And you're like, dude, it's okay.
It's the look that I'm giving you right now.
Exactly.
Fucking telling.
Exactly. It's like,
just,
it's like, look, engineer guy. Look, I really.
Holy shit! That shit's fucking retarded crazy to do, man, is fucking engineering. God
Engineering, man, I am impressed by those guys all the time. The things that they're able to do, and I know that I made a joke where, 10 engineers can do what one machinist can do, but engineers, man, if it wasn't for those guys, you wouldn't have... The machinist makes the part.
Yeah.
Okay? The engineer makes the whole. He makes, the engineer can take a machine or a building or whatever and break it down to its individual parts and say, this is how this goes together. This is every piece of material we're going to need. We're going to need 5,000 of this bolt and 2,000 of this nut. And we're, blah, 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 blah. And that shit is impressive.
Oh, it's nuts.
God, it's impressive.
For me, it's overwhelming,
But oftentimes you find that those guys, for whatever reason, have never built anything. Mm-hmm. They've never made anything.
Well, the thing is, too, it's like that engineer could spend all this time designing, this full set of plans, everything that's going to work, it's going to go. It hits the shop. And as soon as the guy, the machinist or whoever's in the shop is going to start making this stuff, looks at those blueprints like, that's not going to work.
Not going to work.
Like, right out the bat. Yeah. And then it goes right back up. And then it turns into an argument.
Yeah.
And like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And then you get the machinist. I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yep.
I'm a master craftsman at what I do.
Yep.
I can tell you right now it's not going to work. And then it becomes a fucking piss fest.
Sure.
A pissing match. And the thing is 99% of the time the machinist is going to fucking win because he's been working with that shit with his hands for so long. He can see it. Like there's stuff that, I guess like physical problem solving, just trying to like put things together. I've always been, I guess, more mechanical minded kind of shit. And
sure.
It's like, somebody would be talking about like, oh, do this, or like Bob will sit there and be like, oh, we do this and this and this, and I'm like, it's not gonna work.
Right.
No, it totally works. It's like, Bob, this isn't gonna fucking work like this. It just doesn't go. And he's like, no. It's like, all right, man. Sure enough, it doesn't fucking work, man. It's like, I've messed with that kind of shit, or at least around that kind of stuff before. I know how these things are gonna, meet together and interact and shit.
Yeah. Well, look, on the other side of that is this. God, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We got in a new piece of equipment at our plant, and everyone took one look at it. And you're talking about mechanics that have been in the field for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
We took one look at it. That's never going to work. It's never going to happen.
What is the equipment?
It was a mixer, was what it was. We had these big pits, and the water's coming into these pits.
Yeah.
And this
it's like big churning mechanism.
Yes, exactly. It's an agitator. It has to mix up this water so that it can get it all pumped out. Mm-hmm. The original mixers that were in this, and I know this is kind of shop talk for everybody out there, but if you bear with me for a minute, I am trying to make a point.
Fuck it, shop talk it. That's what we're here for, man. It's Rob's garage.
The original equipment that was in there it's a mixer that it's bladed. So a shaft that's coming down, and it's probably has 5 or 6 like prop blades or whatever, and it's going to turn and chop this water up pretty good. And it's got a set of blades on top and a set of blades on bottom. The blades on the bottom, the blades on the top are probably the diameter side to side is probably 36 inches, so pretty good size. And then the ones beneath that, the set of blades beneath that, probably about 18 inches or a foot beneath it, are maybe 24. So you've got a small prop at the bottom, then a larger prop, you know what I mean, towards the center.
So it's basically grabbing everything from top, pushing it down, and it's just circulating like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's hooked up on a shaft going vertically to a 35 horse electrical motor. Okay. So you start to fuck her up, and it's one speed, you know what I mean? Boom, and it's going. 35 horse. Ours crapped out. The original equipment was no good. We called boss. Boss says, hey, let's get some new equipment in there. What arrives is it looks like if you've ever seen an industrial restaurant mixer, they're like a pureer. What it is?
Oh, yeah, the big floor models.
They're like
and you have to like set the bowl into that son of a bitch.
No. But what I'm talking about, it's like it's probably 2 foot long, It has an electrical motor at the back,
Mm-hmm.
and then it has a shaft maybe 18 inches long, and at the business end of it is like just a little prop. It's maybe 4 or 5 inches across.
Yeah.
What we got when we ordered it was something that looked like this thing.
Okay.
Where the mixer at the base was probably the same 36 inches around, but it's one solid disc.
Okay.
Okay, made out of triangular shaped stainless steel. So what they did was they took...
It's a beater, basically, is what it is.
Exactly. It looks like a Betty Crocker beater. That's what it is. Okay?
What do they call this stupid little fucking, like...
Precisely,
like,
yes.
The fucking long
like cake
vibrator
mixers.
thing? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it looks like that. And it's driven by a half-horse motor. Okay? Now...
Oh, okay.
Before we're talking about...
Yeah, 35.
35 horse, it's, direct drive where you just couple this fucker up and it's going. This new one is geared, so it's got a gearbox on it. It's half horse driven. All right, and we take...
So you got a lot more moving parts going on in there.
We take one look at it and we're like, there's no fucking way. This thing's a half horse.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go from 35 horse to a half horse? We're not even going to get it to turn. I literally have a shop vac that's, 7 horse?
Mm-hmm.
It's driven by a 7 horse motor?
Yeah.
There's no way that this thing is ever going to... We bitched and griped the whole time.
They're just like, put it in. Just put it in.
And the whole time we're putting it in.
All right.
These fucking idiots. I can't believe we're doing this. This is bullshit. We get it in, and the motherfucker worked. And all of us, all to our fucking utter surprise.
It's that gearbox that makes the difference, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a gearbox that makes the difference, but the guys that engineered it realized that they don't have to have a 35 horse thing having to churn this thing the whole time. All they have to do is keep the water moving.
It's working intermittently, is what it's doing.
What it's doing is it's you know how if you've ever been in a swimming pool and like say you have like a life preserver or an inner tube, and you're in that inner tube and you start bouncing inside the water, okay, well, if you hit that water at the exact right time, meaning just little old you in an inner tube in the middle of a swimming pool, can get that water, the waves of that water, to dump over the side of the swimming pool 25 feet away.
And just keep it constant.
If you hit the water at the right time.
Yeah.
It's
like a double bounce on a trampoline.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. The engineers that are making this thing realized we don't need to have this thing just killing it 100% of the time. All we have to do is dial this thing in for the size pit that it's going in, for the amount of water that's going to be in there. All that we have to do is hit that same frequency all the time, like a metronome. Hit that water. As soon as it wants to slow down, we hit it again, and we hit it again, and we just keep moving it. And it fucking worked. I was awestruck.
Huh. Well, it's definitely saving a lot of power.
And that's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. Look, engineers think that trades guys think they know it all.
Yeah.
And trades guys think that engineers think they know it all.
Yeah.
When in reality, they know these things, and they know these things as fact, and I know these things as fact. And, when we finally come together, sometimes it takes me being wrong to get shit done.
No, yeah, it does. I mean, shit, some of the greatest inventions in history were accidents, really. It's just like, oh, well, that's not what I was expecting, but holy shit.
Right.
That's fucking awesome. I think I could do something with that.
But that's the kind of shit where, you can take that experience and go, okay, I don't know everything. So when something comes down the pipe and you're not, you're not sure that it's going to work or it's not going to work or something like that, you got to be willing to learn.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to do all this shit. I'm a journeyman. I made Journeyman almost a year ago now, which was a big deal for me because growing up it was like, look, there's There's apprentice, and then there's journeyman. Journeyman means like you're part of the fucking trade.
Yeah.
You know, an apprentice means
you're an elitist, is what you're really.
Well,
not an elitist, but you're the top of the heap.
Well, it's not even that you're the top of the heap. It's that you're committed.
Mm-hmm.
It's that you're not gonna go be an apprentice of something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
An apprentice means like, as far as I'm concerned, if you're an electrical apprentice, you're one bad job away from being a fucking, from being something else.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a mechanic's apprentice, you're one fist fight away from being a fucking plumber or whatever. Same shit with welding. Same.
Yeah.
But when you're a journeyman, you're committed to your trade, and you're on track for that master's level. You know what I mean? You're one day going for that millwright. You're one day going for that master welder, master machinist, master mechanic. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. That was important to me.
Yeah.
And it might not be important to everybody. It might not be important to, certain generations of people. I don't know. To me, it was a big deal. And so nowadays, there's the whole maker movement, where where people are talking about the whole DIY thing is just totally taken off. YouTube is full of DIY stuff. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of the success that I've had with my house, building my house, working on cars, working on motors, has come from YouTube, has come from DIY sites, has come from forums, has come from all that different kind of stuff.
Oh man, working on my Jeep. I mean, shit, I've looked at so much stuff, and I have to do a shout out to bleepingjeep.com, man. Those guys have fucking helped me out with all kinds. I mean, I've got the repair manual, but I need to see it. And that, man, those dudes on there, they're fucking awesome, man. They'll sit there and they'll walk you through it. Hey, this is this, and it's like, but if you want to do this, or like, just even crazy offshoot shit, bastard pack stuff, and whatever.
Well, recently there was I listened to several podcasts. I listened to Making It podcast with Dave Picciuto, Jimmy DiResta, and holy cow, don't let me forget the Dave Picciuto, Jimmy DiResta, and Bob Claggett from I Like to Make Stuff. Dave Picciuto used to be with Drunken Woodworker. Now he's with Make Something. And Jimmy DiResta's channel on YouTube is the stuff of beauty. It is the most inspiring, beautiful things. That guy is. I watch that guy weekly, and he puts out videos for his channel, for Make Magazine, and for Core 77, for which he's building furniture. And all three channels that he's putting content for are outstanding. I cannot speak highly enough about Jimmy DiResta. He's absolutely just awesome.
I have to check that out sometime.
Same for just dozens and dozens and dozens of channels. Dude, shout out to Mr. Pete 222. He for Tubal Cain. He's a master machinist on YouTube. That guy's amazing. And there's just on and on and on.
Yeah.
So many different channels where you can go on and watch people make stuff. And it's just incredible. But the Making It podcast, they talk about making things and their process and how they go through stuff. And DiResta was talking about how he was having a talk at a conference, and there was a guy there that essentially was DiResta's all about, or I think he's all about. If you're listening to this, don't judge too harshly. If he wants to wire something up, he's gonna figure out how to get it wired up. If he wants to machine something, the guy has a lathe. He's gonna try and machine it, or he's going to machine it. He'll do carpentry work. He'll do welding. He'll do a little bit of everything. Yeah. And he was at a conference talking, and there was a guy. on a panel with him, saying that the maker movement is a detriment because apprenticeship is the only way to get quality work, or something to that degree.
Well, yeah, you have to.
They're going through the system, the apprentice, the journeyman, and the the
learning
master.
from the master,
right?
Shit,
But I have to disagree. I have to disagree with it. As much as I talk about how it was a big deal for me to make journeyman and get past the apprentice stage.
Well, it's important.
I have to disagree. The apprenticeship system works and has worked for so long. But even that a lot of that is bullshit. A lot of it is they just want to they want to know that you can make it through the bullshit. Part of your apprenticeship is the
prospecting.
Hazing, exactly. That's part of it. You do the shit work while
I did it, so you got to do it kind of shit.
That's exactly right.
It's kind of like with the military these days. They got away from like the black polished boots. That chaps my ass like nobody's business, because like, what the fuck? These shitheads need to go to Kiwi College too.
Right.
What the fuck? And you know what? To be honest, I don't care what anybody thinks. They need to go to fuck Kiwi College, man. Because in a sense, that is a form of discipline that teaches you in the military. I mean, granted, it's fucking polishing boots, but still, you scuff that fucking boot, first thing you're doing is trying to fucking polish it back up,
It's a
man.
discipline.
Yeah, it really is.
Yes. Look, what I'm saying is that system, the system of having a rank, and you're working for a period of time, and you develop this rank, and you move on from there. I think that it's great, and I think that's worked for a long time. It's worked for a reason. But I also think that it's worked to a lot of people's detriment. I worked with a lot of guys over the years who have worked for, Kelly Field back in the day, or Lone Star Brewery, Pearl Brewery, where you had electricians, you had machinists, you had mechanics, you had whatever, and nobody did anything
outside
but what they're going to do. I used to work with a guy who said he was a rivet man at Kelly Field for like 30 years. And I asked him, well, what did you work on? He said, well, we used to, we do the skins of planes, for the wings, just the aluminum skins of planes.
Yeah.
And I asked him, well, what kind of rivets would you use? And he told me it was this kind of rivet. And I said, well, when you use a different kind of rivet, how would you? He's like, I didn't use a different kind of rivet.
Yeah, he only knew that specific.
I use this rivet. I use this spud, this tool, this fucking, this popping spud, or, whatever he's using. I use this thing for 35 years on this rivet on this kind of plane. That's all he did. And I'd ask him, well, what about the mechanics of like rotary engines back when you were? He's like, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about airplanes. I know everything about this kind of rivet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just very extremely specialized.
Sure. And what does that get you? It gets you the most badass rivet man that you're ever going to meet. But ask that guy to do anything else.
But yeah,
ask
not
him
happen.
to wire up a light bulb, or ask him to frame a shed. And I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying that's not what he does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So back then, these guys they're trained to do one thing. Well, now we have this, and they call it a movement, the maker movement. You know what I mean? I think it's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do it and have no business even messing with it.
But they, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
You got housewives in Connecticut trying to tile their own bathroom floor. But what the fuck? It's their bathroom, it's their tile, it's their floor.
No, that's true. The only thing is when the old man comes home, sees how fucked up everything is, like, fuck, now I gotta pay someone to fix this.
Yeah, but I think personally, there's a ton of growth there for the individual.
Well, the thing is, too, is like, we've gotten so far away of just, as my mom and other people like to put it, as a disposable society. To where all you do is just take some, you use it, and then you throw it away and go get another one.
That's right.
You don't do anything with your own hands.
Right.
You don't. I mean, shit, there is something to be said for that sense of accomplishment when you undertake a task that you've never done before.
Sure.
You build whatever you're going to do, and you finish it, and it's just like, fuck yeah. You know, like with my Jeep. You know, it got broken into at school a couple years ago, and it was that back low quarter panel glass on the rear door.
Right.
And I call Safelite, and they're like, "Yeah, it's going to be like $300 some odd." I'm like, excuse me? $300? That's ridiculous. It's like it's the smallest piece of glass in the whole damn thing. She's like, well, but that's the hardest one to come by.
Right.
Really? Okay. Well, you want me to make you an appointment? No. I'm going to check out my other options. So what do? I go on YouTube. I couldn't find anybody that was doing a Jeep.
Right.
But I found someone that was doing a sedan.
Right.
And that little quarter panel. And
Sure.
so I'm watching it, and it's like, okay, cool. I think I got this.
Yeah.
Check the junkyard. They got several models. Go down there. Well, that's how I'm learning is off that one in the junkyard, which
Sure.
I kind of fucked it up a bit, but it's in the junkyard. We expect.
Right.
So I pull it off, take it home, maybe 35 minutes to an hour. Got a new fucking window in there. It's just like I come walking in. It's like, yes, I am the shit.
Right.
I'm the king.
Right.
I could do it all. Of course, I really can't do it all.
No, but for that short period of time, you feel like you can.
But if I need to do it again,
You feel like
I can do it no problem.
You feel like a capable, intelligent human being.
But it's also seeing how all that because you see it and it's just like, man, how the fuck did they get all that shit together?
Yeah.
And then you mess with it and it's like, god damn, okay, that's how they fucking do
Well,
it.
that's the
Son of
thing
a bitch.
that you know, a dozen years into doing this, that's the thing that gets me going now. Is you get a piece of equipment, or you get something that breaks, and you know, the thing that I am still very much excited about that still gets me going to this day is how does that work? What is in there? What the fuck is in there? You know, like what? And it could be something as simple as a gearbox, or it could be something as simple as you know, a linkage for something. It still gets me going. I mean, I remember I have very vivid memories of being my first I think car love, or my first foray into the whole automotive thing. You know, I was probably 13 or 14 years old, and it was Lowrider magazine. And you know, I grew up in the suburbs of San Antonio, Texas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And right there on the shelf in my local HEB was Lowrider magazine, and it was
Here's that hot chick on the front.
Man,
that
let me
caught
tell you, those things were the most beautiful things. Those cars and the women were the most beautiful things that I had ever seen in my entire life. It was my first exposure into the custom car thing, you know. And later on in life, it became much more about hot rods. It became much more about, you know,
more of the like custom from the ground up kind of stuff.
Sure. And it became about building and came about making things with your hands. You know what I mean? Building frames and building bodies and you know, all that different kind of stuff. But the first love was literally in the checkout aisle at HEB was and I'll never forget, it was the 1948 Chevrolet Fleetline with every bit of chrome that they could find bolted onto it. I mean, you know, every piece of just gleaming fucking goddess beauty on that thing just lit me up like that. In an instant, I was hooked, you know, and it changed big time where I became far more about taking things off of cars. Let's cut that off. Let's take that. Let's make that smaller. Let's move this. You know,
just chop it up.
Let's chop everything. And later on with motorcycles, even after that, it was like, hey, let's take that. You showed up here 2 weeks ago with a picture of that Harley Davidson that you bought.
Yeah.
And the first thing I told
right out the
you
gate, man,
was let's chop that motherfucker up. You know, that fender needs to be
gone
12 inches shorter. You know, this needs to go completely. Let's lose all the fucking turn signals. Let's lose the headlight. Let's lose the this, that, the other. You know what I mean? Immediately, hey, let's just start taking stuff off. Let's make it faster. Let's make it, you know, sleeker, shorter, smaller. That in my mid-20s, early 20s, I started getting into that, the chopper style, the 70s show bike, the digger style, the super, super narrow bikes with the little tiny, tiny parts and tiny fenders and, you know, big wheels, not not necessarily wide wheels, but
Yeah, but
you know,
well, that's nowadays kind of shit. No, you're talking about the big rim.
I'm
you know,
talking about the
large,
70s style, candy paint everywhere, metal flake, that whole custom paint with scallops and flames and striping and, you know, all that shit. Man.
Old school.
Old school. By the time I was 25, I was full on immersed into all of that. And I've never turned back. I've loved every single part of all of that shit. And when it everything from nuts, literally nuts and bolts, to parts, to paint, to powder coat, to chopping cars, to chopping bikes, to welding, to machining, to all of that stuff completely and totally changed my life. Totally. And I went from a chubby kid in the suburbs in the checkout aisle of H-E-B to a chubby adult. Chubby's putting it mildly. You know,
you're festively plump.
That's right.
Cuddly with lumps.
I grew up into an adult who could build his own house.
Yeah.
All because I liked Lowrider Magazine. All because I loved what was in Rod and Custom and Rodder's Journal and later on Old School Rods and Easy Rider Magazine and, you know, all that different kind of stuff. I mean, Jesus, that stuff completely changed my life and totally informed the person that I am today. With making no bones about it. You know, like I said, a kid from the suburbs who liked comic books and X-Men and all that kind of shit. And I'm still that kid to a certain degree. You know what I mean? If I see a Star Wars t-shirt at Walmart, I'm like, dope.
It's like, oh, that's the shit.
Right.
But I wish they had that when I was a fucking kid.
But that all informs... All of that informs who I am now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit, as... what was that, in middle school, I think it was? My mom and stepdad, they got me a subscription to Popular Mechanics.
Oh, dude.
Oh, man, that was cool as shit, man. I remember that one where that came out, and it was about the oblique wing. It's like, that is just so fucking crazy radical. And then kind of like, you know, I'm in fucking middle school. Right. I was like, that's so fucking cool, man. It's like, it's so, you know, innovative, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
And this fucking shit back in the 40s and shit, they were messing around. It's like, god damn.
Yeah.
And then especially what's cool is you see some of those movies, even like comics and stuff like that. What the hell was it? What was it? The Captain America movie at the end where, you know, the huge fucking bomber tank. That's basically a big oblique wing is what it is. Right. And it's like, holy shit, man. You know, but that's crazy shit that the fucking that they thought up of back then and shit and tried to make work.
Well, you know, and the thing that as I got into it more, the love of the history of it. You know, the fact that motorcycle culture, hot rods themselves, custom bikes, custom cars, custom aircraft, you know, all that different kind of stuff came out of like World War II.
Yeah.
They came out of like, you know, the country is training thousands of men how to be mechanics and electricians and engineers and, you know, hull technicians and welders and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
And after all that, it all came out of the garage.
And after they came home from the war, they had these skills that they're, you know, hey, this guy's an electrical technician for this thing, so he's gonna build and fuck with ham radios, or he's gonna build and fuck, you know, just all this different kind of stuff. It all just comes from from that big boom of we need to make stuff. We need this generation of guys to be technicians and, you know, to do all this stuff. And they come home and with their spare time, they create this whole culture of shit that, I mean, you want to talk about everything from pomade, grease, to, you know, to rolls and pleats on your jeans, to Easy Rider magazine, to, I mean, all that stuff comes from that, and I love it. It gets me going every time. The thing that gets me going still is, and there's a lot of guys that have a lot of subsets and prejudices against, I don't like this type of car, this type of product,
Yeah.
or this type of thing,
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
No, yeah.
You got muscle car guys, you got all that different kind of shit.
Yeah.
But man, all of it, it works me up, and so I certainly have my favorite things that I dig or whatever the shit. But man, it completely informed the person that I am today and my capability as a a functioning person.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never been able to build my house where my family sleeps. Every nut, bolt, screw, nail in that place, every piece of 2x4 was all informed by this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought, well, you know what? If I can change my oil, I can do a front end alignment, and if I can do a front end alignment, then I can lower my car, or I can do a top end job, or I can rebuild my carburetor, or I can, whatever. And that turned into, well, I think I can build a fence or sheetrock a room or whatever the shit. You know what I mean? It's all just about taking the little bites.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, it totally is. I mean, like shit. You've called up, hey, can you help me out with something in the house? No fucking problem, man. It's
right.
like, something I may have helped out with somebody in the past. I know a little bit experience with, or I don't have experience. It's like,
right.
All right, going to learn something fucking doing crazy shit.
Right.
It's like, fuck yeah,
Well, it's like you and me. We plumbed my house in a day,
Mm-hmm.
and not even a whole day. You know what I mean? It was something that you nor I had ever done before.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, it was the easy poly pipe shit.
That PEX stuff.
Yeah, that PEX stuff. And I didn't know how it was going to work, and you didn't know how it was going to work. But by God, we showed up and we had the tools and we had the pipe.
Seen it, but
yeah,
I've never
right.
messed with it.
And we didn't have a schematic for how we were going to run all this shit or anything. But we
discussed it for a while. It's like, well, this and this.
Right. And if we go here and tee off here, branch off of here, we got to go make another trip to Home Depot. We got to get this shit. And we got.
Yeah, but if we do this and that'll, and I love fucking doing that shit. It's like talking. It's like, yeah, we do this and this and this. It's like, yeah, we take this and do this. Oh yeah, that is a lot better. Oh
yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Right, but that kind of stuff, like doing that kind of stuff. I don't know if there's a kid somewhere in Akron, Ohio, or wherever the shit might be listening to this, or might be listening to something else, or all those great channels I'm talking about on YouTube.
It just might be that step in that
it
direction.
It might be that thing that hey, look, I don't know what I'm doing a lot of the time. When it comes to mechanics, when it comes to putting shit together, taking shit apart, I'm pretty confident. You know what I mean? I've been doing it long enough to where I'll get it working. I know that about myself. That had to be made. That was built. Yeah. I wasn't born with it. There was a time where that was not who I was. And as a matter of fact, it was the furthest. That was I could never see that in myself to do those things. But through taking these little bites, hey, how do I wire up this bedroom? How do I float this circuit? How do I do this kind of thing? All of that informs the confidence you have later on.
Oh yeah, I mean, shit. When I was a kid, and John, he was the closest I ever had to a living grandfather, and I miss John so much. He's from England. I mean, shit. He traveled all over the world for work. Served in the military and stuff, and over in England, and he came over to put in ceiling fans in the house. Well, my dad could do it, but he didn't do it. So my mom's like, my mom's talking, to him and my FOF, and she's like, he overhears and he's like, Nancy, I'll come over next week and I'll take care of it. And he's just like, sure enough, he's like, that's ridiculous. I'll take care of it. And then sure enough, he comes over and I was in elementary school. Shit, was it second, third grade, something like that? Yeah. And I'm sitting there and he's in my room. He's putting this thing up and I'm just watching him and he's just like, oh, okay. I think I asked I can't remember if I asked questions. I think I asked a couple. He's like, oh, this and this and this. Years later, I'm in fucking high school. I'm putting up a goddamn fucking ceiling fan and shit. no reading of the instructions.
Yeah.
I know fucking, white is hot, black is negative, green is ground, and then you just fucking go from there and shit and just kind of, okay, this is this, kind of plan it out. Sure enough, bam, Bob's your uncle.
In AC applications, black is hot.
Yeah.
White is neutral.
Yeah.
I know that now.
Yeah.
But see, when I went to trade school, black is negative, red is hot. There's AC and DC. But I know what you're saying. But aren't those guys, like when you're that age, they're magicians almost. Like they can,
almost.
It's
like, how did you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how? Like, it's fucking bewildering when you're a kid.
Blows your mind.
Blows your
just
fucking
like,
mind.
whoa.
And now I speak from the point of privilege where I look at, my wife and my kids and all this kind of stuff. They come, I'll spend a week working at the house, and they show up, and they're like, it's magic. How did you do that? How could you ever get that done? How did what goes into this? And my wife, not so much, and she, God bless her, she's gracious as hell, and she's accommodating because I have a very, I don't take criticism very well.
I criticize you all the time.
Well, I know,
but you take it from me.
I never built things for you.
No, well,
like if I built something for you, you told me like, hey, so what's up with this corner? Fuck you, Nate.
No, it's. You are kind of your own worst enemy, and it's like that poker table that you made. It's like, oh, that's fucking badass, and you were not fucking happy with it.
No,
it's like, it fucking wobbles a little bit, and just no, man, it's fucking cool shit. We're fucking playing that shit, and then come over sometime. Hey, we have a poker table. Get rid of it.
Yeah, I cut it into 40 pieces.
Oh, you did? I thought you just sold it to somebody.
No,
or gave it to somebody.
I was. Here's the deal with that poker table. At some point, I had always wanted a poker table, and at some point, I decided, well, I'm gonna build one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna fucking break down and do it.
Just fucking do it.
And at one point, I think I was online looking at something, and they had a poker table on there, and it was not. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't crazy. By no means was it a professional poker table, but for a neighborhood card game, hey, a bunch of guys are gonna get together, drink some beer, and fucking have some laughs. It was a beautiful poker table.
Yeah,
and I said, by God, I'm going to fucking build me that poker table. I know that I can.
Just need to build a craps table next.
Right. Well, I didn't know that I could.
Well, you wanted to test the waters,
but
see if you could.
Fucking wanted to know if I could or not.
But you did. I mean, it came out nice.
I fucking built it, and when I built it, I was okay with never playing on it, because it wasn't about playing cards on it. Mm-hmm. It was about I did it.
Yeah.
And once I did it, it was fucking done.
It's about that project, man.
It was done, and I knew that I could. And as a matter of fact, when I was finished, I was like, I'm gonna make another one that's gonna be better than this thing. I can do better than this. I can be better than this. And that's, tell 9-year-old Rob that. Yeah. And he would have, his fucking mind would have been blown.
No, never. I can't do that shit.
Exactly.
You can fucking do it, and you're gonna do it, kind of shit,
So if you're out there and you want to build something, or you want to do something, or you want to learn something, fucking do it. Do it.
Check it out. Try it at least.
Try it.
Shit, that's half the battle. Just trying it.
There's nothing between you and the thing that you want but fear, man.
All right. Well, I guess we're gonna wrap this up with the special edition of Blunderbuss Special with Rob's Garage. I'm Nate. This is Rob. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, whatever the fuck it is. Anything else? Hell, tell us we suck. I don't care. Shit. Let us know you're out there. Hopefully you're listening.
Thank you very much.
We'll bid y'all good night and farewell. And I don't know.
Thank you.